Ho had never seen anything quite like the Imperial Palace. The walls glowed with a soft purple light that seemed to breathe. Everything was massive, built for beings much larger than humans. He felt small walking through the entrance hall, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. "Stay close," whispered beside him, was the senior diplomat on their team, a man who had negotiated with dozens of alien species. Even he looked nervous. Mina walked on Ho's other side. She was their cultural specialist, the one who had spent months studying the people. Her face was calm, but her hands were clasped tightly together. The Empire controlled 12 star systems. They were warriors, proud and powerful. Earth needed their technology, their trade routes, their alliance. That was why 3 humans were now walking through an alien palace, hopping to make a good impression. The throne room doors opened. The sound was like thunder. Inside, hundreds of waited. They were tall, nearly 8 feet, with skin that ranged from deep blue to purple. Their eyes were large and completely black. What made them truly remarkable were the patterns on their backs. Lines of light ran down their spines, pulsing gently with color. Princess sat on a throne at the far end of the room. She wore armor that looked like it was made of liquid metal. Her spine patterns glowed bright gold, marking her as royalty. She was beautiful in an alien way that made Ho's breath catch. The human delegation was announced. Their names sounded small and insignificant in the huge chamber. Princess stood. The room fell silent. She spoke in perfect English, her voice deep and commanding. "Humans of Earth, we welcome you to our world. We will hear your proposal for trade and alliance." Stepped forward and began his prepared speech. Ho had heard it a dozen times during their journey. He let his mind wander, taking in the details of the room. That was when Princess turned her back to the delegation. It happened suddenly. One moment she was facing them, the next she had pivoted away, showing them her spine. The golden patterns flared brighter, rippling with new colors. Blues and greens danced across her back in waves. Ho stared. He could not help it. The patterns were mesmerizing, like watching the northern lights on Earth. They seemed to respond to her emotions, shifting and changing. He wondered if they were biological or technological. His scientist's mind churned with questions. He did not notice the room had gone completely silent. He did not notice that everyone was now looking at him with expressions of shock and anger. He did not notice had stopped speaking mid-sentence. What he did notice was Princess spinning around. Her black eyes locked onto him with an intensity that made his stomach drop. "You," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "Human, the small one in the middle." Ho's heart hammered. Small one. He was average height for a human, but yes, he supposed he was small here. "Yes, Your Highness." His voice came out steadier than he felt. Princess took 3 steps toward him. Each footfall echoed in the silent chamber. "Why are you staring at my back, human? Are you trying to challenge me?" The words hit Ho like cold water. Challenge? What challenge? He had just been looking. What? No, Your Highness, I was just—" "Silence," her voice boomed. The patterns on her back flared red now, angry and bright. "Every being in this room saw what you did. I turned my back and you stared. Do you know what that means?" Ho felt Mina grab his arm. Her fingers dug into his sleeve with desperate strength. An elderly stepped forward from beside the throne. His spine patterns were silver with age. "Princess, perhaps the human does not understand our customs." "Then he is a fool to come here unprepared," Princess snapped. She looked at, "You are the leader of this delegation. Explain what your subordinate has done." His face had gone pale. He bowed deeply. "Your Highness, please, there has been a terrible misunderstanding. We meant no offense. Ho is young and—" "Youth is no excuse for insult," the princess interrupted. She turned back to Ho. "When a shows their back to another, it is the ultimate gesture of dominance. It says, you are so far beneath me that I need not even watch you. To stare at that back is to reject that dominance. It is a challenge to combat." Ho felt his mouth go dry. Your Highness, I truly did not know. On Earth we don't have such customs. I was only admiring the patterns on your spine. They're beautiful like art. A murmur ran through the assembly. Princess' eyes narrowed. Beautiful, she said the word as if testing its taste. You claim you meant admiration, not challenge. Yes, absolutely yes. Ho took a step forward, forgetting protocol in his eagerness to explain. I'm as well as a diplomat. The bioluminescence on your back is fascinating. I've never seen anything like it. I was studying it, not challenging you. The elderly advisor spoke again. Princess, if the human truly did not know our customs, then perhaps mercy. Mercy? Princess' laugh was sharp. You grow soft in your old age. A challenge has been issued, witnessed by all. Whether through ignorance or intent does not matter. Tradition must be upheld. She walked slowly around Ho, examining him from all angles. He fought the urge to turn and follow her movement. That seemed like it might be another cultural mistake. You are small, she said finally. Weak, your bones look fragile, you would die in the first trial. Then I won't compete, Ho asked hopefully. Oh, you will compete, Princess said, or you will offer your life as apology. Those are the only two options when a challenge is made. Stepped forward again. Your Highness, please take my life instead. I am the leader. The responsibility is mine. No, Mina pushed forward as well. Take me. I'm the cultural specialist. I should have prepared him better. Princess looked at both of them with something that might have been surprise. Humans offer to die for each other so easily. We're a team, Mina said firmly. We stand together. The princess was quiet for a long moment. The patterns on her back shifted through several colors. Finally, she spoke. I see loyalty among you. That is worth something. She turned to Ho. I will give you a choice, human called Ho. You may die quickly and honorably, ending this matter, or you may enter the trial of 7 shadows. If you survive all 7 challenges, the insult is forgiven and you will have earned respect. What happens if I fail the trial? Ho asked. Then you die slowly and painfully, Princess said simply. No human has ever survived even the first 3 trials. Most species cannot. Ho looked at and Mina. Their faces were pale but determined. They would die for him if he chose the quick death. He could not let that happen. He turned back to Princess and bowed his head. I accept the trial of 7 shadows. A gasp ran through the assembly. Princess' spine patterns flashed bright white, then settled into a steady gold glow. Interesting, she said softly. Then let us begin. The arena of ascension was older than human civilization. The stone floor was stained dark with the blood of 1,000 species. Ho stood in the center, feeling very small and very alone. Princess sat in the royal viewing box, high above the arena floor. Stood beside her, along with dozens of nobles. Somewhere in the crowd, Ho knew and Mina were watching. He hoped they would not blame themselves when he died. The first trial is combat, Princess' voice echoed across the arena. You will face one of our warriors. The fight ends when one of you cannot continue. A gate opened across from Ho, emerged. He was huge even for a muscles rippled under his blue skin. His spine patterns glowed crimson, the color of war. He carried no weapon. He did not need one. Ho had no weapon either. He had only his body, his mind, and the desperate will to survive. Did not waste time on words, he charged. The first hit sent Ho flying backward. He crashed into the stone wall hard enough to crack ribs. Pain exploded through his chest. He gasped for air that would not come. Walked toward him slowly, confidently. Stay down, human. Die with some dignity. Ho's hands scraped against the stone as he pushed himself up. His vision blurred. Blood filled his mouth, but he stood. Spine patterns flickered with what might have been surprise. Then he attacked again. The second hit broke Ho's nose. The third reopened an old scar on his forehead. The fourth, fifth, and sixth landed on his ribs, his stomach, his shoulder. Each one should have ended the fight. But each time, after lying on the ground long enough to breathe, Ho got back up. An hour passed. Then, too, was not even breathing hard, but his attacks had changed. They were frustrated now, angry. Why would this weak creature not stay down? In the viewing box, Princess leaned forward. "What is he doing?" she asked. "Any other species would have submitted or died by now." "Perhaps humans are too stupid to know when they are beaten," suggested. But Princess was not sure. She had seen stupid fighters before. They died quickly. This was something different. Ho was thinking through the pain, was stronger, faster, better. Ho could not win by fighting, but maybe he could win by not losing. On Earth, humans had survived by being stubborn. They outlasted the ice ages. They outlasted diseases that killed millions. They outlasted their own worst impulses. He could outlast this. 3 hours into the fight was tired. Not exhausted, but tired. His movements were still precise, still deadly, but slower than before. Ho was destroyed. His body was one massive bruise. He could barely see through swollen eyes, but his heart kept beating. His lungs kept pulling air. And when knocked him down for the 100th time, he got back up for the 101st. "Enough," Princess' voice rang out. "Stand down. The human has passed the first trial." Step back, confusion clear on his face. "But I did not defeat him." "No," Princess said slowly. "You did not. And after 3 hours it seems you cannot. The trial is past." Ho collapsed. Medical drones rushed onto the arena floor, scanning his injuries. Doctors worked on him with efficient, impersonal care. They injected him with medicines that made the pain fade to a dull roar. And Mina were allowed to see him in the medical chamber. Mina had tears running down her face, looked 10 years older than he had that morning. "You idiot," said, but his voice was gentle. "You brave, stupid idiot." "Did I pass?" Ho managed to ask. "You passed," Mina confirmed. "Rest now. The second trial is tomorrow." But tomorrow came too quickly. The second trial was survival. They took Ho to a chamber filled with poisonous gas. It was designed to test this natural resistance to toxins. Most species died within minutes. Ho lasted 2 hours. He vomited until there was nothing left in his stomach. His skin broke out in burning rashes. His lungs felt like they were on fire. Every breath was agony. But he kept breathing. Earth's atmosphere had not always been friendly to life. Humans had evolved surrounded by pollution, toxins, and diseases. Their immune systems were weapons, constantly fighting invisible wars. Their bodies could adapt to almost anything, given time. Ho did not have time, but he had stubbornness. When they finally pulled him from the chamber, he was unconscious but alive. The doctors were amazed. They ran tests on his blood and found it full of antibodies, fighting the poison with desperate efficiency. "Remarkable," one doctor muttered. "Their biology is chaos, but effective chaos." The third trial came the next day. Ho could barely stand, but he stood. This trial was pain tolerance. They placed his hand in a device that sent increasingly powerful electric shocks through his nervous system. He was to keep his hand in place as long as possible. Most lasted 5 minutes at the highest setting. Ho lasted 20. Not because he was stronger, not because the pain hurt less, but because human brains were strange things. They could separate from pain, float above it, observe it from a distance. Athletes did it. Monks did it. Anyone who had suffered enough learned to do it. Ho had lost his sister in the Mars colony collapse. He had held her hand as she died slowly over 3 days. He had learned what real pain was. This electric shock was nothing compared to that memory. When the trial ended, his hand was burned and useless. More medical treatments, more injections, more confused doctors trying to understand human physiology. In her chambers that evening, Princess reviewed recordings of all 3 trials. She watched Ho get beaten, poisoned, and burned. She watched him refuse to quit. He fights without grace, she said too, without honor or beauty. He fights like an animal, agreed. No, Princess rewound the recording, watching Ho's battered face as he stood up for the 100th time. Animals know when to quit. He fights like something that has forgotten how to quit, or perhaps never learned. She pulled up Earth's historical records, the Great Wars, the nuclear near-apocalypse, the climate disasters, the plague years. Humanity had faced extinction a dozen times and come back from it every single time. They are survivors, she said quietly, not warriors, survivors. Nodded slowly. The next trials will test his mind and spirit, not his body. Perhaps there he will break. Perhaps, Princess said, but she was no longer sure. In the medical chamber, Ho slept. His body was slowly healing with the help of medicine. In his dreams, he saw she was smiling. You always were too stubborn to know when to give up, Dream said. I learned from the best, Ho replied. When he woke the next morning and Mina were there, they had spent the night researching the remaining trials. What they found gave Ho a small spark of hope. The next 4 trials were not physical. They tested the mind, the spirit, the soul, things that could not be measured in strength or speed. Things where being human might actually be an advantage. We need to tell you about Trial 4, Mina said, her voice serious. It's going to hurt, Ho, not your body, something deeper. Ho nodded, tell me everything. Outside his window, the alien sun rose over the capital. He had survived 3 impossible trials. 4 more waited. He thought of Earth, so far away. He thought of every human who had ever looked at the impossible and said, watch me. Then he stood up and prepared to face Trial 4. The Chamber of Echoes looked peaceful. That was the first warning sign. Unlike the brutal arena or the poison chamber, this room was beautiful. Soft light filtered through crystal walls. A cushioned platform waited in the center. No weapons, no obvious dangers, nothing that screamed pain or death. Ho trusted it less than any of the other trials. The 4th trial tests the mind, Princess announced from her viewing position. Her spine patterns glowed a cautious yellow. You will face your past, your fears, your failures. The simulation will draw directly from your memories and create experiences from them. Stepped forward to explain the details. This device connects to your neural pathways. It finds your worst moments and makes you live them again. Most beings have the mental strength to compartmentalize their pain, to wall it off. They pass through the simulation by keeping their minds organized and controlled. And if I cannot, Ho asked. Then your mind breaks, said simply. You will live, but you will not be yourself anymore. The person you are will be erased. Ho felt cold fear settle in his stomach. He had survived broken bones and poison, but this was different. This attacked who he was, not just what he was. Mina gripped the railing of the viewing area. Ho, you don't have to do this. We can find another way. But there was no other way. They all knew it. Ho lay down on the platform. Technicians attached sensors to his head. They worked quickly, professionally, not meeting his eyes. One thing you should know, one technician said quietly. Humans are messy. Your neural patterns are different from any species we have tested. The simulation may not work as expected. Better or worse? Ho asked. The technician did not answer. The device activated. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality twisted, and Ho was no longer in the chamber. He was on Mars, in the colony, the day everything went wrong. The alarms were screaming. Red emergency lights flashed in the corridors. Ho was running, his younger self, frantically searching. He shouted, "Where are you?" He found her in the medical bay. She was trapped under a collapsed support beam. Her legs were crushed. Blood pooled around her. "Ho," she whispered, her face was so pale. "It hurts." He remembered this. He had lived this. The rescue teams were overwhelmed. Help would not come for hours. There was nothing he could do except hold her hand and watch her die slowly. In the real world, Ho's body convulsed on the platform. The monitoring his vital signs exchanged worried looks. Princess leaned forward. What is happening? His pain centers are overloading, a technician reported. But he is not shutting down. He is not compartmentalizing. He is experiencing everything at once. In the simulation, Ho relived every second of death. Her pain became his pain. Her fear became his fear. He felt the moment her hand went limp in his. He felt the horrible silence that followed. The simulation shifted. Now he was back on Earth, a child again. His father was leaving, walking out the door with 2 suitcases and not looking back. Young Ho was crying, begging him to stay. "I'm sorry," his father said. "I just cannot do this anymore." The door closed. It was the last time Ho saw him. The simulation shifted again and again. Every failure, every loss, every moment of shame and regret. The friend he could not save from drowning. The test he failed that cost him a scholarship. The woman he loved who left him for someone better. It was all there all at once, drowning him. The technicians were alarmed now. His neural activity is off all scales. He should have shut down by now. He should have compartmentalized or broken, but he is doing neither. Princess watched Ho's face. Tears streamed down his cheeks. His mouth moved, speaking words she could not hear, but he did not look broken. He looked present. In the simulation, Ho stood in a space filled with all his worst memories. They surrounded him like ghosts, each one demanding attention, each one hurting. A mind would wall them off, lock them away in separate boxes where they could not touch each other. A strong mind would build higher walls, stronger boxes. But Ho did not have walls. Human minds did not work that way. Instead, he opened his arms and let the memories flood in. All of them, every moment of pain and loss and failure. He did not push them away. He pulled them close. "Yes," he said to the memory of dying. "This happened, this hurt, I carry this." "Yes," he said to his father leaving. "This shaped me, made me afraid of being left behind. I carry this too." One by one, he acknowledged every painful memory, not to defeat them or lock them away, but to accept them as part of himself. Humans did not compartmentalize. They integrated. They took their pain and wove it into who they were. It was messy and chaotic, and sometimes it hurt for years, but it also made them whole. Ho's sister had died, and that pain taught him to value every moment with the people he loved. His father had left, and that abandonment taught him to be loyal to his friends. Every failure had taught him something. Every loss had made him stronger in unexpected ways. The simulation did not know what to do with this. It was designed to break minds that resisted it, but Ho was not resisting. He was accepting. In the real world, the readings suddenly stabilized. Ho opened his eyes and sat up. The chamber was silent. He looked at Princess. His face was wet with tears, but his eyes were clear. "I pass," he said quietly. Was staring at the readings in disbelief. Impossible. No one passes by accepting the pain. The trial requires you to overcome it, to master it. "I did master it," Ho said. He stood on shaking legs. "Just not the way you expected." Princess descended from her viewing platform. She approached Ho slowly, studying him with new interest. "What kind of species weaponizes their own suffering?" she asked. Ho wiped his eyes. "The kind that had no other choice. Earth was not kind to us, Your Highness. We survived by learning to carry our pain and keep moving anyway. We cannot lock it away. We would go mad, so we made it part of us instead." She circled him slowly. "They are taught from childhood to be strong, to separate emotion from duty. We do not let our pain control us." "Neither do we," Ho said. "We just define control differently. You lock your pain away. We carry it with us and decide what it means." Princess was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to her advisors. Bring me all of Earth's historical records, everything. I want to understand this species better." That night, while Ho slept in his medical chamber, Princess read about humanity. She read about the wars that killed billions. She read about the plagues that emptied cities. She read about the disasters, natural and man-made, that should have ended human civilization a dozen times. And she read about how humans came back from each one, how they rebuilt, how they remembered the dead but did not let that memory stop them from living. She watched videos of human memorials, saw people crying openly, sharing their grief, helping each other carry the weight of loss. They had memorials too, but they were quiet, private affairs. Pain was something to hide, to overcome alone. Humans made their pain public. They shared it. They helped each other carry it. It was strange and uncomfortable and completely alien to everything they believed about strength. She said as dawn broke over the palace, "I think we have been wrong about what makes a species strong." The old advisor looked at her with concern. "Princess, the human has passed 4 trials, but—" "It is not about the trials anymore," Princess interrupted. "It is about understanding. The galaxy fears humans. The Council warns about them. I thought it was because they were dangerous warriors, but that is not it at all." "Then what is it?" She pulled up a human quote she had found in her research. A human named once said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger. The hear that and think it means to survive is to become harder, more resistant." And humans? Humans mean something different. They mean that pain and survival teach you how to carry more pain and survive more. They grow stronger not by avoiding suffering, but by learning to function while suffering. They are not tough because nothing hurts them. They are tough because everything hurts them and they keep going anyway. Was silent, processing this idea. Princess looked out at the rising sun. Somewhere in the medical chambers, Ho was sleeping, probably dreaming of his dead sister and his absent father and all the pain he carried. Tomorrow would be the 5th trial, and Princess found herself hoping he would pass it. The gardens of silence were not actually silent. Water trickled through carved stone channels. Wind chimed through crystalline trees, but the name came from what happened during trials. No one was allowed to speak. Ho stood in the center of the garden, his body still aching from the previous trials, and Mina stood beside him. They had been brought here together, which immediately made Ho nervous. Princess observed from a viewing pavilion. Her spine patterns shifted between gold and blue, colors Ho had learned meant she was thinking deeply. "The 5th trial tests bonds," she announced. "In culture, a leader must be able to command loyalty. Subordinates must be willing to sacrifice for their superiors. This trial proves the strength of that hierarchy." Gestured to 3 devices that looked like chairs with restraints. "2 of your companions will be secured in these chairs. They will experience increasing levels of pain. You will be given a choice at 5-minute intervals. You can end their suffering by forfeiting the trial and accepting death, or you can order them to continue suffering, proving your worthiness as a leader." Ho felt his stomach turn. "And if I pass?" "If your companions endure 30 minutes of pain at your command without begging for release, you pass," Princess said. "It proves you are worthy of their loyalty, and they are worthy subordinates." "That's barbaric," Ho said before he could stop himself. Princess' eyes narrowed. "It is tradition. It has been used to test leaders for 1,000 years." "Your Highness," interrupted, stepping forward, "permission to speak." "Granted." "In our culture, Ho is not our superior," said carefully. "I am the senior diplomat. By human hierarchy, I should be giving orders, not receiving them." This caused a ripple of confused murmurs among the observers. "Then why is he taking the trials?" Princess asked. "Because he made the mistake," Mina said, also stepping forward. "And because we are friends. We do not let friends face danger alone." "Friends?" Princess repeated the word as if it was unfamiliar. "You are colleagues, you work together." We are both, Ho said quietly. Humans can be both. Princess looked at, who looked equally confused. The old advisor consulted his notes. The concept of friendship-based loyalty is mentioned in human cultural files, but it seemed secondary to hierarchical structures. We assumed it was similar to our own recreational companionship bonds. It is not, said firmly. Friendship is one of the strongest bonds in human culture, sometimes stronger than family, often stronger than rank. That is inefficient, a noble called out from the viewing area. How can a society function without clear hierarchies? It can be messy, Mina admitted, but it also means we help each other not because we must, but because we want to. Princess was quiet for a long moment. Then she made a decision. We will proceed with the trial as designed, but I want to understand this friendship better. Let us see if it is truly as strong as you claim. And Mina moved toward the chairs without hesitation. No orders given, no commands needed. Wait, Ho said desperately. We can modify the trial, right? Change it so I take their pain instead. No, Princess said. The trial tests your ability to command sacrifice. You must order them to suffer while you remain safe. That is what leadership means to the... Ho looked at his friends, gave him a small nod. Mina actually smiled. It is okay, Ho, she said gently. We knew what we signed up for when we joined you on this mission. They sat in the chairs. Technicians secured the restraints. The devices activated, starting at the lowest pain setting. Ho watched their faces tighten. It was not terrible yet, probably felt like a mild electric shock, but it would get worse. 5 minutes passed. A chime sounded. You may end the trial now, a technician announced. Simply say the word and your companions will be released. Ho opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Mina. Don't you dare, said through gritted teeth. We did not come this far to quit now. The pain level increased. Another 5 minutes, another chime, another opportunity to quit. Ho, Mina said, her voice strained but steady. Tell us about home, distract us. So Ho talked. He told them about the beaches on Earth, the ones near where he grew up. He described the sound of ocean waves, the smell of salt air, the feeling of sand between your toes. In the viewing pavilion, Princess leaned forward. They are talking. They should not be able to form words by now. Humans have higher pain tolerances than we estimated, noted. But more than that, look at their faces. Princess looked, and Mina were clearly in pain, but they were also listening to Ho's story, smiling even through the pain, drawing strength from his words. Third chime, pain level increased again. Mina gasped, hands clenched into fists, but neither of them asked to stop. Your turn, Mina managed to say. Tell us about your daughter. So talked about Bin, his daughter who was 7 years old. He described her laugh, her love of dinosaurs, the way she made up songs about everything. Ho watched his friend suffer and felt helpless rage. This was wrong. He should be the one in pain, not them. I am sorry, he whispered. Don't be, said. This is what friends do. Fourth chime. A new person appeared in the garden. A young man, barely out of his teens, wearing a technician's uniform. Dongmin, their junior communications specialist. What is he doing here? Princess asked sharply. Dongmin bowed to her nervously, then walked straight to the third empty chair. I would like to volunteer, he said in heavily accented language. This trial requires only 2, said confused. But 3 would be stronger, yes. Dongmin sat in the chair before anyone could stop him. I am also Ho's friend. Let me help. The technicians looked at Princess, uncertain what to do. She studied Dongmin carefully. You barely know him. You have been on this mission for only 3 months. You are not even part of the diplomatic team. You are support staff. I am his friend, Dongmin said simply. That is enough. Princess felt something shift in her understanding. She nodded to the technicians. Add him to the trial. The restraints closed around Dong Min. The pain device activated at the current level, higher than wherein Mina had started. Dong Min screamed, but he did not ask to be released. Talk, Mina urged Ho. Keep talking, tell us more. So Ho talked about everything. About the first time he saw stars from outside Earth's atmosphere. About his sister's favorite food. About the professor who inspired him to become about stupid jokes and old memories and anything that might help his friends think about something other than pain. Fifth chime, only 5 more minutes to go. All 3 of them were shaking now. Sweat poured down their faces. But when the chime offered them the chance to quit, they all shook their heads. Princess stood up. She descended from the pavilion and walked into the garden, something observers were never supposed to do during a trial. Stop, she commanded, end the trial. The technicians looked confused. But there are still 5 minutes remaining, Your Highness. I said stop. Her voice was sharp with command. The devices powered down, the restraints opened. Mina and Dong Min slumped in their chairs, gasping for breath. Ho rushed to them, supporting Mina before she could fall. Princess approached Dong Min. Why? She asked. You are young, you have your whole life ahead. Why would you volunteer to suffer for someone who is not even your commander? Dong Min looked up at her with exhausted eyes. Because when I joined the mission, I was scared. I had never left Earth before. Ho spent 3 hours talking to me about what to expect. He made me feel less afraid. He did not have to do that. I was nobody important, but he did it anyway. 3 hours of conversation earned your loyalty through torture. It earned my friendship, Dong Min corrected. And friendship means you help when help is needed, even if it hurts. Princess looked at all 4 humans. They were battered, exhausted, pushed to their limits, but they were smiling at each other, actually smiling. You pass, she said quietly. All of you pass. Objected, but the trial was not completed according to protocols. Protocols do not matter, Princess interrupted. I asked for proof of strong bonds. I have seen proof of bonds stronger than any I have witnessed in my lifetime. She turned to face her people in the viewing pavilion. The bond through hierarchy and duty. We sacrifice because we must. These humans sacrifice because they choose to. Do you not see how much more powerful that is? That night, Princess could not sleep. She kept thinking about what she had witnessed. Commanders inspired fear and respect. Their subordinates obeyed because the alternative was punishment. But Ho inspired something different. His friends suffered for him not because they had to, but because they genuinely cared. That kind of loyalty could not be commanded. It could only be earned. And earned loyalty, she was beginning to realize, was the most dangerous kind. Princess did not summon Ho to the throne room. Instead, she invited him to her private observatory, a place where few outsiders had ever been allowed. Ho arrived with stiff, formal steps. He had been told there would be no 6th trial today. No pain, no tests, just a conversation. But he did not trust it. Every moment of kindness so far had been followed by suffering. The observatory was beautiful. A transparent dome showed the stars above. Comfortable seating surrounded a central projection platform. Princess stood with her back to the door, looking up at the cosmos. Ho froze, her back, those glowing spine patterns. He had learned his lesson about starring. You may look, Princess said without turning around. I give you permission. Cautiously, Ho let his eyes drift to the patterns. They were gold today, shot through with threads of blue and green, beautiful and complex. She turned to face him, and he quickly looked at her face instead. Sit, she said, gesturing to a chair. Please. Ho sat. Every muscle in his body was tense, waiting for the trap. Princess sat across from him. Her posture was relaxed, almost casual. It was strange seeing her like this, outside of formal contexts. The 6th and 7th trials have been waived, she said directly. You are released from the trial of 7 shadows. The insult is forgiven. Ho stared at her. waved, but that's impossible. You said the trials have been tradition for 1,000 years. I am the princess, she replied with a slight smile. I can change tradition if I choose, and I choose to change it now. Why? The question burst out of him before he could make it more diplomatic. Princess was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Because I have learned something important. When I turned my back to you in the throne room, you stared at my spine patterns. In my culture, that is the ultimate insult. It is a challenge that demands response. I know that now, Ho said quietly. I truly did not mean to challenge you. I know, Princess said. I have known since the beginning. Ho's head snapped up. What? I have been studying humans for months since your delegation requested an audience, she explained. I read your cultural files. I watched your historical records. I knew that you likely did not understand our customs about backs and challenges. Then why did you force me into the trials? Ho's voice was tight with barely controlled anger. My friend suffered because of those trials. Dongmin is still in medical care, has burns that will scar. Me nah. I know, Princess interrupted, and I am sorry, but I needed to understand something. Understand what? She stood and walked to the viewing dome, looking out at the stars. The Galactic Council has been warning us about humanity for years. They say your species is dangerous, that you should be contained, limited, perhaps even prevented from expanding further into the galaxy. Ho felt cold. I did not know that. Of course not. Earth is still new to galactic politics. You do not yet have access to the higher council meetings. She glanced back at him. The Empire has considerable influence in the council. My father, the Emperor, asked me to assess humanity, to determine if you were truly a threat. And your assessment? I needed to see you under pressure. The trials were brutal, yes, but they showed me the truth about your species. She turned to face him fully. Every analysis we did suggested humans were weak. Your bodies are fragile compared to most spacefaring species. Your weapons technology is decades behind ours. Your ships are slower. Your colonies are smaller. We know we are not the strongest, Ho said. But that is exactly what makes you dangerous, Princess said intensely. You are not strong, so you learn to be stubborn. You are not resistant to pain, so you learn to function through it. You do not have natural hierarchies, so you built bonds of choice that are stronger than any structure of command. She began to pace, her spine patterns flickering rapidly. I watched you refuse to stay down when any reasonable being would have quit. I watched you accept pain as part of yourself instead of fighting it. I watched your friends volunteer to suffer for you, not because you commanded it, but because they wanted to help. Those are not threatening qualities, Ho said, confused. They are the most threatening qualities imaginable, Princess countered. The galaxy is built on the assumption that there are limits to what species will endure. You push resources and populations only so far before they break or rebel. But humans, she shook her head in wonder. Humans do not break the way other species break. You bend and adapt and keep going. You take damage that should end you and incorporate it into your strength. She stopped packing and looked directly at him. Tell me honestly, Ho, if I had required all 7 trials, would you have completed them? Ho thought about it. He thought about his father, about every hard thing he had survived. He thought about and Mina and even young Dongmin, who barely knew him but helped anyway. Yes, he said simply, I would have finished them or died trying. That is what terrifies the council, Princess said. You would have died trying. Not died fighting, not died resisting. Died trying. You would have kept going until there was nothing left, and then you would have tried to keep going anyway. She sat back down across from him. When I turned my back in the throne room, you stared at my patterns. I need to know why, not the scientific curiosity answer you gave before. The real reason. Ho was quiet for a moment, then he spoke honestly. They were beautiful, and beauty is rare in the universe. When you see it, you want to remember it, to hold onto it for later when things are dark. Princess' spine patterns shifted to a color he had never seen before. Soft pink, almost like a blush. In culture, she said slowly, showing someone your back means they are beneath your notice. But in human culture, looking at someone's back means something different, does it not? It depends, Ho said. But yes, studying someone when they are not looking is often a sign of respect. You are appreciating them without demanding their attention. It is gentle, private. So when I turned my back, you did not see it as contempt. No, I saw it as an opportunity to admire something beautiful without bothering you. Princess was silent for a long time. Finally, she laughed. It was a genuine, surprised sound. This entire ordeal, she said, all of this pain and suffering and testing began because I did not ask a simple question. I assumed insult because that is what it would have meant. I never considered that you might have meant something completely different. Cultural misunderstandings have started wars, Ho said quietly. Yes, she agreed, and they have also prevented alliances that could have benefited everyone. She stood and offered him her hand, a human gesture she must have learned from her research. Ho took it. Her hand was warm and her grip was strong. I will tell the council that humanity is indeed dangerous, she said, but not in the way they fear. You are dangerous because you do not give up, because you turn your weaknesses into weapons, because you build bridges of friendship that can bear any weight. She squeezed his hand gently. And I will tell them that the Empire chooses to be your ally rather than your enemy, because I would rather have humans as friends than as opponents. Ho felt tears prick his eyes. All the pain, all the fear, all the suffering, it was over. There will be a formal treaty signing tomorrow, Princess continued. But tonight I have a personal request. I would like to visit Earth, and I would like you to be my guide. It would be an honor, Ho said. She smiled. Then she did something unexpected. She turned around, showing him her back. The spine patterns glowed bright gold, but now with threads of pink running through them. You may look, she said. I understand now that you see something there worth remembering. Ho looked. He studied the patterns, the way they shifted and flowed. They were even more beautiful up close. And I understand now, he said quietly, that showing your back means something worth respecting. May I ask what the colors mean? Gold is for royalty, she explained. Blue is for thought, green is for peace, and pink, she paused, pink is for new friendship. Ho smiled. They are beautiful, Your Highness. She corrected, turning back to face him. Friends use names, do they not? They do. Later, Ho returned to his quarters where Mina and Dong Min were waiting. They demanded to know everything. He told them about the conversation, about the council's fears, about Princess's real motives for the trials. So we suffered to prove humanity is not a threat? Asked dryly. No, Ho corrected. We suffered to prove humanity is exactly as much of a threat as they feared, but now they want to be our friends instead of our enemies. And that makes the suffering worth it? Dongmin asked quietly. Ho thought about it. He thought about all the pain, all the fear, all the moments he wanted to give up. Then he thought about the treaty that would be signed tomorrow, the alliance that would open up the galaxy to humanity, the friendship that had formed between species who should have been enemies. Yes, he said finally, I think it does. Mina raised her medical cup of water. To cultural misunderstandings that work out in the end. They all raised their cups and drank. Outside the window, the alien sun set over the capital. Tomorrow, Princess would stand beside human diplomats and sign a treaty that would change the course of both their peoples. But tonight, in a small recovery room in an alien palace, 4 humans sat together and laughed about the absurdity of nearly dying because of a misunderstood glance. And somewhere in her observatory, Princess looked up at the stars and thought about the dangerous, stubborn, beautiful species called humanity. She was glad they would be friends. The galaxy would be more interesting with humans in it.